Arriving at Northwestern, we are greeted by a happy group of students and a favorite pup. Our campus tour takes us first to University Hall. Constructed in 1869, its famous tower, bell, and clock are tradition to every Northwestern graduate and student. Just look at the smiling faces of these happy students. Ask any one of them if the Wildcats can stop the Gophers. That's the topic on the campus today. But classes must be held, football or no football. Here are the famous women's quads at Northwestern. Beautiful dormitories, each covering a square city block. Inner courts, pictured here, show co-eds on their way to morning classes. Lucky girls. And not to be outdone, on another section of the campus facing Lake Michigan are the men's quads. Here you see happy students hurrying to lunch in the spacious dining rooms within the quads. Courts and passageways provide unusual settings for the boys' outdoor activities. Further down the campus we find the School of Speech building. And here is the most beautiful building on the Northwestern campus, the Charles Deering Library. Growing rapidly, this institution now has more than 500,000 bound volumes on its shelves. A few steps to the northwest, we come upon the Lunt Administration Building. And President Walter Dill Scott, beloved Prexy of Northwestern, the first alumnus president. And what an answer he gives to the question, who'll win the game? Why, that's easy, he says. It's just as certain as the presidential election. What's this? Bathing suits on November the 1st with the temperature at 38 above, and they're heading for Lake Michigan just beyond. Wow, look at them tear into that lake. So that's what makes the Wildcats wild. Not to be outdone, the co-eds stage a special homecoming march for us. It's new, novel, and decidedly different. Look at this precision drill. Smart and pretty, too. And that letter trick spells, Go You Northwestern. Here's the homecoming spirit. Beat Minnesota, and those lads mean it. Nail the Gophers, that almost steals the show. And quite naturally, I beg your pardon, Northwestern marches on. Could this be Halloween or just a big bad ghost to scare the Gophers? These young ladies started early to win their prize for homecoming decorations. And look, a gopher trap full of gophers, all homecoming fun. These freshmen are preparing the homecoming Pep Fest bonfire. And what a fire! That should warm the fighting spirit of every Northwestern player and student. This prize-winning float, break that record, heads the homecoming parade. And now on to the stadium. Northwestern's happy warrior, Tug Wilson. Popular coach Lynn Waldorf and his able assistants. Here's Bernie Bierman, happy though bothered with a bad cold. It's game time. 50,000 people jam the stadium. What a battle it promises to be. The University of Minnesota band parades just before the kickoff. Look at them strut. Minnesota wins the toss and chooses to defend the south goal. Wilkinson of Minnesota kicks off to Heap of Northwestern, who receives the ball on his own 5-yard line and returns it to his 36-yard line. Toth tries the center of the Minnesota line but fails to gain. On the next play, he tries his own right end, but is stopped for no gain by Svensson and Wilkinson. Minnesota's ball. Alphonse makes 2 at left tackle. The ball is on Minnesota's 27-yard line. On a fake, Alphonse. To Alphonse. Urim goes off the weak side of Northwestern's line for a 45-yard gain and is finally brought down by Heap. Single wing to the right. Spadacini gets the ball and carries it over his own right guard for a 2-yard gain. Urim is brought down by Kovac for no gain. Single wing to the right. Urim gets the ball, but once again Minnesota is held for no gain. Minnesota sets up in drop kick formation. Urim is holding the ball, but instead of kicking, he changes his mind and starts around left end. He makes a gain of 2 yards. Northwestern's ball. Heap goes over his own right guard for a gain of 3 yards. Jefferson is in the tailback position. He gets the ball, but is held at left end for no gain. Urim receives Toth's kick on his own 28-yard line and returns at 4 yards. Spadacini drives over his own right guard for 3 yards. Single wing right. Spadacini has the ball, fakes to Gamitro and drives off the weak side for no gain. Single wing to the left. Toth gets the ball, pounds over his own left guard for a 1-yard gain. From a double wing formation, Toth gets the ball, gives it to Jefferson on a reverse. King makes the tackle. In a double wing formation, Jefferson gets the ball from the center, hands it to Kovac, who scampers around left end for a 15-yard gain. On the next play, Antill breaks through and throws Heap for a 4-yard loss. On this one, Heap gets the ball, hands it to Hinton, who fails to gain on a play over his own left guard. On a single wing to the left, Heap gets the ball from center, fakes to Hinton, who is thrown for a 5-yard loss. Ray King is back in punt formation for Minnesota. He gets the ball, kicks a beautiful long punt of 80 yards, and Heap is down by Antill on his own 10-yard line. Toth fails to gain through the center of the line. On a double wing formation, Toth hands the ball to Hinton, who goes around his own left end for a 5-yard gain. Urim receives a punt on the 50-yard line and returns it 13 yards. On a fake to Alphonse, Urim makes 6 yards over his own left tackle. Urim is stopped for no gain. A pass, Urim to King, was no good on Northwestern's 20-yard line. Rourke makes 6 yards inside of left tackle. A reverse, Urim to Alphonse, gains 1 yard over Northwestern's right tackle. Second quarter begins. Matheny gets the ball, tries his own right end, slips and falls for a 4-yard loss. Minnesota in punt formation. King back, he punts, and the ball goes over the goal line. Toth kicks to Matheny, who receives the ball on the Minnesota 29-yard line and returns it 18 yards to the 47-yard line. Spadacini drives inside Northwestern's left tackle for 6 yards. Matheny makes a yard. Reed is stopped on the line of scrimmage on a lateral from Matheny. King back in punt formation, kicks to Northwestern's 15-yard line where the ball is down by Minnesota. On a fake, Heap fumbles for a 5-yard loss. Toth kicks to Matheny, who returns it to the Northwestern 47-yard line. Matheny in a sweep around right end gains but a yard. He was knocked down by Vanzo. A pass from Matheny intended for Reed is intercepted by Toth, who in turn laterals to Edelman, who runs it back 5 yards before being driven out of bounds. Toth hands the ball to Jefferson, who goes outside Minnesota's right tackle for a gain of 2 yards. On a fake, Edelman makes a yard. On a double wing formation, Toth drives over his own right guard for a first down. On a reverse, Toth to Edelman. Edelman goes inside of Minnesota's left end for a gain of 6 yards. Jefferson picks up 1 yard. Edelman throws a pass to Toth, which is incomplete. Toth kicks to the Minnesota 27-yard line. Bueller drives over his own left guard for a gain of 5 yards. On a sweep around his own right end is brought down viciously by Banzo after a yard gain. Bueller fumbles but recovers for a yard lost. From punt formation, King kicks from his own 37-yard line to Northwestern's 30-yard line, where it is down by Minnesota. On a reverse Geyer to Jefferson, Jefferson is thrown for a 4-yard loss. Northwestern's ball. Jefferson kicks from his own 35-yard line to Minnesota's 17-yard line. Matheny receives the punt and returns it to his own 35-yard line. On a single wing to the right, Urim throws a pass which is intercepted by Voigt on Northwestern's 39-yard line. On a reverse, Geyer to Jefferson. Jefferson is tackled viciously by Ray King. Northwestern is out of the huddle, sets up in left formation. The ball is snapped back to Geyer, who drives over his own right guard for a gain of 8 yards. Edelman has the ball, drops back. It's a pass intended for Kovac. It's incomplete. Jefferson back. He kicks to Urim, who takes it on his own 6-yard line and returns it to the 22-yard line for a gain of 16 yards. Minnesota goes into single wing left. The ball is snapped back to Bueller, who goes inside of Northwestern's left tackle. He's in the open. He's looking for someone to lateral it to. He's down after a gain of 28 yards and the half end. Between halves, Northwestern's band performs for the Minnesota visitors. It's homecoming, and the old grads are given a tribute. Minnesota kicks off to Northwestern. The ball goes to Kovac, who returns it to the 36-yard line. Jefferson on a reverse fumbles but recovers for a 2-yard loss. Jefferson punts to Urim, who takes it on his own 22-yard line and returns it 10 yards. Bueller on a try through the line picks up 3 yards. Urim makes 5 yards, then laterals to Alphonse, who makes 9 more. Bueller drives inside of Northwestern's left tackle for 3 yards, where he is knocked down by Vanzo and Fuller. Ray King kicks a beautiful punt against the wind, which is downed on Northwestern's 2-yard line. From behind his own goal line, Jefferson kicks a high punt, which Urim takes on his own 48-yard line and returns it 5 yards. Urim is back in the single wing formation. It's a pass, and it's intercepted by Heap on Northwestern's 16-yard line. Jefferson on a reverse carries the ball to the purple 21-yard line. Geyer is thrown for a yard loss by Bueller. Urim returns Jefferson's punt 6 yards to the 36-yard line. Bueller on the next play picks up 2 yards. From a single wing formation to the left, Alphonse in the tailback position gets the ball from Svensson. He tries to sweep around Northwestern's right end but fails to gain. King kicks from his own 36-yard line to Northwestern's 40-yard line, and the ball bounces back to Minnesota's 46-yard line. A break for Northwestern. From a double wing formation, Geyer hands the ball to Heap, and Heap following Vanzo picks up 28 yards. Geyer drops back to place kick, but the attempt is wide. The Gophers' ball in the 20-yard line. Urim fails to gain at Northwestern's left tackle. Alphonse fakes to Urim, who fumbles the ball. It is recovered by Gibson of Northwestern. Heap of Northwestern fumbles but recovers. This is the play. Minnesota penalized for unnecessary roughness. On the 1-yard line, Northwestern is now in a position to score. On the first play, Geyer tries Minnesota's left guard for no gain as the quarter ends. Toth fails to gain on the first play of the final quarter. Again, Toth. This time he drives over for a Northwestern touchdown. On the attempt for point after touchdown, Toth's kick is blocked by Antill. Minnesota's ball in a reverse. Spadassini to Thompson, gains a yard. Thompson fades back for a pass. He throws it. It's good to Wilkinson on the purple 47-yard line. On a lateral, Alphonse to Thompson. Thompson is dropped for a 3-yard loss. On a shovel pass, Thompson to Anto. Anto goes 5 yards, but his lateral to Alphonse is fumbled. Northwestern recovers. From punt formation, Toth kicks to Thompson, who starts the ball back from his own 27-yard line. Urim fakes a shovel pass, swings around Northwestern's right end for a gain of 32 yards. Rourke goes through center for 6 yards. Urim on Rourke's lateral is brought down after a 2-yard gain. Rourke makes a first down for Minnesota on Northwestern's 18-yard line. On a reverse, Gamitro to Urim. Urim drops back for a pass. It's incomplete over the Northwestern goal line. On an end-around play, King is thrown for a 3-yard loss. Urim is back in single wing to the right. He gets the ball. It's a pass. It's incomplete in the end zone. Heap on a reverse gets the ball from Toth, who races around Minnesota's left hand up to the Minnesota 36-yard line for a 16-yard gain. On a reverse, Jefferson goes inside of Minnesota's right end to the 40-yard line, a gain of 4 yards. Toth kicks to Wilkinson. Wilkinson's lateral to Urim is fumbled. Northwestern recovers on Minnesota's 42-yard line. Toth carries the ball for 5 yards. On a reverse, Toth to Heap. Heap is thrown for a 5-yard loss as a group of Minnesota men call all over him. Toth kicks the ball over Minnesota's goal line. Spadassini gets the ball, hands it to Urim. Urim laterals to Gamitro, who races down the field for 43 yards before he is brought down from behind by Vanzo. Rourke charges center for 2 yards. Urim tries a lateral to Gamitro, but the ball is recovered by Northwestern on the 40-yard line. Toth gains 5 yards over the middle. Toth again hits center, this time for 4 yards as the game ends. Homecoming crowds, thrilled by Northwestern's victory, surge on the wet and muddy field. Are they proud of their Wildcats? The score gives the answer. The biggest upset of the season, Northwestern 6, Minnesota nothing.